Okay, so the final section of this discussion of my equipment here in the Arctic on Svalbard, where conditions can get down to easily minus 20 degrees C. We're going to talk about my shell layers, what I use as an outer jacket and as outer trousers. I have a rain jacket. It has rained a couple of times here earlier in the season, but in the extreme cold, what you're more worried about is wind. So all the layers that I'm going to show you have varying degrees of wind resistance. The first thing I'm going to look at is my trousers. I bought these. They're made out of a material called Polartec Neoshell. They're extremely wind resistant and extremely waterproof, which is very, very useful for me out in these conditions. They have very large vents, which means that if I'm overheating, I can easily cool down. That's very important to make sure that I don't get too sweaty, because sweaty can get my base layers and my mid layers cold and wet. So, what else can I tell you about these? They seal at the bottom with Velcro and a zipper. This means that I can get a reasonable seal around my boots, but not a full seal. If there's snow, then there's a chance that they'll get up my legs and get into my boots, and that could be a major issue if they get wet. I don't want my socks to be wet at all. So, what else? If I was to design these trousers again, then I would put a hook on so that they could hook onto my laces. And what that would mean is that the leg wouldn't risk riding up. That would make it a lot less likely that snow could get up my leg and into my shoes. Otherwise, these are fantastically breathable. They're probably the most breathable material I've used. I'm very happy with them. I use them pretty much every day. I use them for hiking. I haven't used them for snowboarding because of the leg issue. But yes, I use those regularly. The other trousers that I have that I use as a shell are these. I wouldn't hike in these because they're far too warm. They're insulating. They do have large zippers which allow me to vent and reduce the chance of sweating. But these I wear when it's very cold and I'm not going to be moving around very much. Or if I'm on a long hike and I'm camping or staying in an ice cave or a snow cave, then I would use these as a warm overlayer when I'm not moving around at the end of the day. It's got nice big pockets. The Neoshell trousers, they did not have pockets, and that's quite infuriating at times. These do. They're not windproof completely, they're not waterproof completely, but they're sufficiently windproof and waterproof to be comfortable even in extremely cold conditions with high winds. So overall these are doing very well. They're actually quite old. I've had them for a few years. I've done two snowboard seasons with them. The bum patch area is fairly worn, so I have to be careful with that. But otherwise, these are still doing a very good job. They seal very nicely at the top. They have Velcro patches that acts like a belt, which allow me to make them tighter or loosen them off if I'm wearing a lot of mid layers that I want to tuck in to avoid any exposed areas in my midriff. The legs have a snow skirt. What it is it's an elasticated patch on here which would seal over the boot, and then this allows snow to ride up without actually getting into the boots. These are very, very good for when you're walking in deep snow. So these I would use for both snowboarding, for a short walk but not a hike, and definitely for snowmobiling. These are very, very comfortable with my base layer and mid layer leggings. So yeah, those I also use a lot here. The matching jacket to go with those trousers is this. In the same way, it's highly wind resistant. It's got a little bit of waterproofing, but it's not fully waterproof. It has vents in the arm here. It's zipped all the way up. This is very effective. It means that I can keep cool if I'm working hard. So this is perfectly good for trekking. It's also perfectly good for snowboarding with the right mid layers. It doesn't have an insulated hood. It does have a shell hood which I can add on, but I tend to trust my other layers rather than the hood on this jacket. It's got plenty of pockets, but this is quite useful as an inside pocket to put things like hats in or gloves. Even though it doesn't seal, it's quite handy for carrying things. The pockets could do with being slightly bigger because it's difficult to put a hat in one and the gloves in the other. Otherwise, it's good. The interior pocket allows me to put things like my GoPro in so that I can keep the battery warm enough to use without it running out too quickly. And that is, in a nutshell, is the jacket. Also very, very happy with this. The down jacket that I showed you in the mid-layer section, because I can't get a good enough seal around my waist, because if I bend over or sit down then my back gets exposed, I don't consider that an outer layer. So I might wear that around a fire, but generally that's not going to be an outer layer. This is also a down jacket, but this is a serious outer shell layer. It's filled with down. It's heavier down than the 900 weight mid-layer that I showed you earlier. It's recommended by UNIS, which is the university centre that I'm carrying out research and studying at here on Svalbard. It's not Gore-Tex, it's not windproof or waterproof material, it's a polycotton mix. It's very effective at reducing the wind because of the resistance, and I actually wear this for snowmobiling without any outer shell or without any inner shell, because the resistance is sufficient with the high level of down and with my mid layers and base layers. Even down to -25 high speeds, it's been perfectly comfortable. It has a hood, and this hood is insulated with down just like the rest of the jacket, which massively increases the insulation of this jacket when I put it on. Talking about the level of insulation, it's quite long, so I don't have the problem with exposed areas in the midriff. With this and my other down jacket, I can effectively make a sleeping bag to keep myself warm if I have to do an emergency camp, which is an extremely useful trick to be able to pull. So this jacket I like a lot. The pockets, it has enormous pockets in contrast to the Stuggy jacket. So I can put all of my gloves, if I'm wearing a layering system with multiple thick gloves, they fit comfortably into the pockets. The top pocket is also very, very large, so I can even fit a ski mask in there if I need to. The balaclava and the face masks that I wear, they comfortably fit in there. And again, it has an interior pocket that I can put a GoPro in to keep that warm. So this jacket is also excellent. And that is the tour of my clothes. Thank you very much for your attention. Just one last item of clothing, and that is the jacket that I'm wearing. It's fleece, it's a fluffy material. It's not a technical fleece by any way, but it's very, very warm. It's comfortable for indoor use. It's got zero wind resistance whatsoever, so outside it would have to be used under a shell. Very, very breathable, so I'm happy with it as a jacket, but for the extreme cold I don't use it. I much prefer wool because it's warm when it's wet, and although this is soft and it has a hood, I don't trust it when I go outside on expeditions. So this tends to be something for lounging around here at home or when I'm down at university. Otherwise, this is the tour of my equipment. Thank you very much for your attention.